Have you ever heard of NBA star Alonzo Mourning, comedian George Lopez, actor Gary Coleman? How about playwright Neil Simon, actor Larry Hagman, or Olympic bronze medalist Chris Kluge? There is one thing that all of these celebrities have in common. They should all be dead right now. All 6 of these household names have required an organ transplant in order to remain alive, many of these occurring long before their rise to stardom. Now stop and ponder what your life would be like without hit TV shows Dallas and Different Strokes, without snowboarding idols, without The Odd Couple, without your favorite basketball star on SportsCenter every night. Maybe you wouldn't notice any difference, but maybe you'd feel as though something was missing from your life, all because of one malfunctioning organ. Celebrities, though, are by no means the only people who require organ transplants. Since the first successful organ transplant in 1954, hundreds of thousands of people have required these life-saving procedures, whether it was for a heart, a kidney, a pancreas, an intestine, a liver, or a lung. However, according to the United Network for Organ Sharing, there are over 100,000 people who are still in need of an organ transplant today. This waiting list has been growing rapidly and appears to be showing no signs of declining anytime in the near future. Sadly, in 2007, 6,700 fathers, sisters, and children died while awaiting a life-saving transplant on this list. That's over 18 people each and every day. Clearly, something needs to be done to save these people. But what? The present altruistic system is unable to meet the ever-increasing demand for organs. Subsequently, a complete overhaul of the organ donation system is required. To obtain more organs for life-saving transplants, the United States should adopt a policy of presumed consent towards organ donation. This policy of presumed consent would presuppose that people in the United States permit the provision of their organs upon death, unless specifically noted otherwise. Not only would it be beneficial for the United States because it procures many much-needed organs, but it also better reflects the public's personal preferences. Moral controversies and logistical issues have been the downfall of many policies attempting to increase organ donations in the past. Whether it was with donor compensation, cloning, artificial organs, or xenotransplantation, the use of animal organs in transplants. Due to these arising ethical predicaments and logistical complications, medical experts need a better option. Dallas surgeon and former Texas Medical Association president Phil Berry Jr. stated, "There are more people dying waiting for organs than the year before. It is imperative that we look at every possible solution, including presumed consent." Under a policy of presumed consent, everybody is assumed to agree to the donation of their organs when they die, unless they complete a non-participatory form, thus opting out of the plan. Dr. Berry, however, is by no means the only doctor who supports the policy of presumed consent. In fact, the Houston Journal of International Law reports that 78% of American transplant surgeons support the adoption of presumed consent. Though radical, it is necessary. Though far-reaching, it is ethical. Though occurring in the direst of times, it looks to the future with hope. One of the main benefits of this policy is its ability to better represent the public's preferences. According to an April 2008 Gallup poll, 67% of Americans wish to donate their organs. However, lack of information regarding donor registration, intercessions by families on the deathbed, and lack of knowledge concerning the deceased preferences for organ donation have prevented many viable organs from being transplanted. A policy of presumed consent would eliminate any hindering factors and allow the wishes of a majority of Americans to be respected and followed. Another reason that proponents of presumed consent believe that this policy will work is because of the policy's success in other countries. According to the Parliamentary Office of Science and Technology, the 3 countries in the world with the highest donation rates for organs are Austria, Belgium, and Spain. All 3 of these countries have policies of presumed consent. In fact, Belgium experienced a 183% increase in organ donations after their adoption of presumed consent, And likewise, Singapore's liver donations increased sixfold from its previous donation rates. Presumed consent in many instances has helped to procure many much-needed organs that have helped to save thousands of lives. However, not everyone agrees that presumed consent is a good way to obtain more organs, and several concerns have arisen regarding the potential change in policy. Some people claim that presumed consent infringes upon an individual's basic rights and liberties. They believe that presumed consent laws violate the principle that a person has a legal right to make decisions regarding the violation of their body or an invasion of his or her body. In addition, opponents believe that the poor, the disenfranchised, and the illiterate may not be given the proper opportunities to opt out of this system. If their wishes are recorded, opponents claim that the registers may be faulty, and these wishes may not actually be fulfilled. The American Medical Association stated, "For presumed consent to be ethically acceptable, effective mechanisms for documenting and honoring refusal to donate must be in place." Although the United States has not yet adopted a policy of presumed consent, the dire dearth of donated organs may soon demand a deviation in diplomacy. With the national waiting list growing and organs still in short supply, Carol Beasley, the managing director of the Partnership for Organ Donation, put it well when she said, "There's only so much room in the lifeboats, and a bunch of people are going to drown." It is for this reason that adopting any policy except for presumed consent is unacceptable. Human lives are at stake. Now, you may have heard of Gary Coleman and Neil Simon before today, but who here has ever heard of Claude Hunt? Well, Claude Hunt was a simple man who grew up on an Indian reservation in Rosebud, South Dakota. He earned a living by working long hours on the family farm and then owning his own drywall and construction firm. Day after day, year after year, Mr. Hunt did this. He lived an unadorned yet pleasant life. Claude got married, had 2 kids, David and Nancy, but passed away in 2006 from cancer. However, he, like Alonzo Mourning, George Lopez, and Larry Hagman, should never have even lived that long. His kidneys had been failing him for some time, and he required an organ transplant to simply stay alive. Fortunately for Claude, a family member stepped forward in 2003 and gave him one of her own organs. Though he only lived 3 more years before contracting an aggressive form of cancer and dying, those 3 years were ever so important. For you see, Claude Hunt was my grandpa. And those 3 years represented countless more baseball games, musical performances, county fairs, birthdays, and priceless memories that I could share with him. Yet I know that not everyone was as fortunate as I was. Grandparents, sisters, mothers, and nephews all across this nation die each and every day simply because of a lack of organ donations. How much longer will we let this go on? The United States Department of Health and Human Services reports that the contributions by just one person could save up to 8 lives. Imagine an extra 3 years for someone you love. Imagine 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. What could you do? What could you say? While the current altruistic system for supplying individuals with life-saving transplants falls far short of meeting demand in the United States, no perfect solution has yet been found. A policy of presumed consent, however, offers enough hope to those awaiting a life-saving transplant that to deny them this policy could be to deny them a chance at life. It takes one email to a friend. It takes one call to a congressman. It takes just one letter to the president to ensure this precious gift of life for all. Support this policy and show that you care. Show that having a heart can mean giving a heart.